Coming up on the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week.
A UNC fraternity is currently under investigation. Carolina Week brings you breaking news.
More out-of-state students might be calling themselves Tar Heels if Chancellor Measer opens the door. We'll explain.
And in sports, the men's soccer team has been led by an upperclassman, but it's a freshman who's really making the #2 team in the nation tick.
Plus, a look at your Carolina Week 4-day forecast.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening. Welcome to the September 28th edition of Carolina Week. I'm Tara Higgerson.
And I'm Lydia Garlikov. Let's get right to Ross Widener, who has breaking news from Columbia Street. Ross?
Behind me is the Beta Theta Pi fraternity house. For days, rumors have been circling about what may or may not have happened here this past weekend. The Senior Associate Dean of Students says the university is looking into the matter.
Whenever we get allegations of misconduct, we want to act as an institution in the best interest of the safety of the students. And so, pending the investigation, pledge activities have been suspended.
Beyond that, what happened behind this closed door at the Beta Theta Pi fraternity house Friday night remains a mystery. Carolina Week tried to track down this year's pledge class. We looked on Facebook.com and went to Granville Towers to try to talk to some of the pledges. No one would talk on camera. Carolina Week contacted the president of the fraternity, Kenny Thompson, but he also declined to comment. So we went to the house to get some answers.
Yes? Hey, I'm Ross Widener, Carolina Week. I just want to ask you a couple questions about what happened here this past weekend.
No comment.
Senior Associate Dean of Students Winston Crisp says the national fraternity is sending representatives to conduct its own investigation. Depending on the severity of the allegations, if they're true, the national fraternity could revoke the chapter's charter.
Unfortunately, we can only deal with this situation when people come forward.
Interfraternity Council President Tom Merrihew says, in general, the nature of hazing allegations means the IFC has to work swiftly.
There's no leeway with a hazing violation because it is so serious and it involves, usually involves somebody getting hurt.
Director of Greek Affairs Jay Anhorn says that he can't comment because he's directly involved with the investigation.
Now, Ross, you uncovered something interesting during this investigation, right?
That's right, Lydia. Right on the homepage of Beta Theta Pi, there's a headline that says it's National Hazing Prevention Week.
Ross Widener reporting from Columbia Street. Thanks, Ross.
Working conditions for the university's lowest paid employees is a topic at the forefront again. That was the cry of students on campus Wednesday. They marched from the chancellor's office to Lenore Dining Hall and up the quad. They hope their vacuum cleaners and orange banners make people stop and think about the university's workers. They want workers to receive better wages and have the right to unionize. Not many students have the undivided attention of UNC Chancellor James Measer, but quite a few had that chance at an open house on Tuesday. Dozens of students gathered at Graham Memorial Hall to meet the chancellor. They talked about the things that mattered most to them at UNC. Students from various campus groups touched on topics such as grade inflation, university policy, and globalization. Students presented their ideas to the chancellor. He answered their questions, but also asked a few questions of his own. Vice President of Student Government, Adrian Johnston, organized the event and thinks it went well.
These events are a good chance to have a really informal conversation and air the issues that are important to students, and I definitely think that happened today.
Johnson says there will be more opportunities for students to meet Chancellor Measer throughout the year.
The chancellor talked about one of the biggest concerns students have, their grades. Ask most students and they'll tell you UNC doesn't give out enough A's, but some still think students are getting too many. Grade inflation has become a national problem. The Educational Policy Committee at UNC is responding by discussing possible changes in the way students' GPAs are calculated. One idea is to factor in the difficulty of each course. The committee hopes that by weighting GPAs, students won't take a course just because they expect to get an easy A. But Professor Boone Tershi thinks there's a better way to fix the problem.
Essentially, try to get the actual grading practices changed, and so that we don't need to worry about weighting or indexing grades.
Weighting GPAs is only an idea. Figuring out how to take individual professors' grading policies into account would be difficult, so any change the committee discusses would take years to implement.
One change the university could see next year is an increase in out-of-state students with full scholarships. Reporter Philip Jones tells us how this could affect students.
Sophomore Lena Easton's not from around here.
I'm very proud of being from Cincinnati.
The Robertson Scholar has reminders of home all over her room in Winston Residence Hall, all the way down to what she eats.
Cincinnati's famous Skyline chili.
Thanks to a provision in this year's state budget, full scholarship recipients from out of state, like Easton, can be considered Tar Heels, starting with next year's freshman class. Although the UNC system fought against the provision, Easton says she's glad it passed.
I think it's a wonderful idea. It would allow more kids to come here on scholarship, and a lot of kids really need that money or deserve the money for their accolades in high school.
The state budget gives the Board of Trustees at each UNC system school the authority to enact the provision. Carolina's BOT deferred that authority to Chancellor Measer last week. The Office of Scholarships and Student Aid says there are currently 71 out-of-state full scholarship freshmen at Carolina, and that number could swell to as many as 100 next year, meaning scenes like this one could become even more crowded. Easton says the additional out-of-state students will serve the university well.
It's just, I think it's important for people of all across the country, across the world, to meet each other. Otherwise, you'll still stay stuck in the same place.
And while Easton loves her reminders of home, she's glad she's here. In Chapel Hill, I'm Philip Jones, Carolina Week.
The additional students won't be counted as part of the university's 18% cap on out-of-state students, effectively giving Carolina the authority to enroll dozens of extra out-of-state residents. But the provision assures that the number of North Carolina residents admitted won't decrease.
As November's municipal election draws closer, the candidates for Chapel Hill Town Council are gearing up for action. The Sierra Club held an election forum Tuesday night. All 8 candidates concentrated on environmental issues ranging from air quality to water supply. Candidates answered prepared questions and took questions from the audience. They also debated issues including downtown development, the expansion of South Columbia Street, and parking for Carolina North. Mayor Kevin Foy pointed out that development isn't an easy task. He's seeking his 3rd term as mayor. Candidates will come to campus Wednesday evening for the first election forum hosted by UNC student groups. The high school age drivers are more likely than any other age group to die in a traffic accident.
That's right, Lydia. And to help fight this problem in October, Orange County school officials hope to do random seatbelt checks in high school parking lots. This is part of Governor Easley's highway safety program called Are You Buckled? It would require both drivers and their passengers to wear seatbelts. Students caught 5 times with anyone in the car not buckled up would lose driving privileges for the rest of the school year. The school's program is tougher than the state's law. North Carolina does not require any backseat drivers older than 16 to wear seatbelts.
Area businesses are hoping their Buy Local campaign will continue to boost spending in Orange County.
Your money here stays here.
Business leaders kicked off the 4th annual campaign Monday at the Sheraton in Chapel Hill. From banks to photo galleries, 60 local businesses showcased their goods. Everyone got to sample some of the best food and flavors Orange County has to offer. Chapel Hill Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Aaron Nelson says the campaign is important to the community's economy.
We really want to encourage local businesses, one, to do business with each other, but also for our community to buy local. Because when we buy local, the money that we invest stays here. Local business people reinvest it in their community, and the tax dollars we collect fund our schools and our sidewalks and our police officers.
If you'd like to show your support, you can pick up one of these decals at the Chapel Hill Chamber of Commerce.
On Tuesday, Chancellor Measer discussed the importance of global awareness with students.
And some have already made that a priority. We'll tell you how, coming right up.
Art can be many, many, many things. The North Carolina Museum of Art offers one of the premier art collections in the Southeast, and it's yours to discover. There's something for everyone. Works by classic and contemporary artists, a 164-acre museum park, an outdoor concert series, performances, and so much more. Experience all that art can be at the North Carolina Museum of Art.
AIDS has killed more children worldwide than there are in all the grade schools in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Washington, Atlanta, and Miami combined. The time to do something is now.
Natasha Buklik joins us now in the studio with the first in our Carolina Week special report series.
Natasha traveled to Malawi, Africa this summer to see firsthand how Malawians are dealing with a growing epidemic each and every day.
Thanks, Lydia. I was in Malawi for 24 days with UNC alum Lily West, and what we experienced there was truly life-changing. Malawi is a country plagued with one of the highest rates of HIV/AIDS in the world. We stayed with students who are striving to make a difference. What we found was the power of the human spirit in the Malawian people.
These children live in the 10th poorest country in the world. In Malawi, Africa, 1 out of every 5 people has HIV/AIDS. These children sing songs about the importance of wearing a condom in order to prevent the spread of the disease. In the summer of 2000, a UNC Chapel Hill graduate founded a nonprofit organization with the same goal as the children in Africa.
We bring the volunteers here to educate the kids in the community about HIV/AIDS, environment, or whatever the locally challenging issues might be.
And now, 5 years later, college students come from around the world to volunteer at World Camp. The group travels to remote villages in Malawi for 3-day camps, hoping that teaching younger age groups about HIV/AIDS will influence the future of the country. This past summer, UNC Chapel Hill Jr. Paul North was part of the program.
Every day you get in a car and you go out. You drive 2 hours, 1.5, 2 hours out into the rural Malawi where no one goes. No one. Except us.
Volunteers start off each morning with songs and games.
I said, let me see your disco fever! It's dusty, it's hot, there's just like hundreds of African children around you who, surprise, surprise, are not dehydrated from all the singing and dancing that they're doing, and they're just like absolutely amazed.
North and other volunteers spend the rest of the day teaching the children.
Trying to do our best, use what we have, bring what we have, World Camp, bring from our countries information that will be able to empower these people in their own communities, because often they lack the resources that we luckily have.
Throughout their stay, the volunteers work one-on-one with Henson and the other directors in the program. They constantly improve the curriculum that they teach the children. North thinks the whole experience is invaluable, even though it might not be appealing at first.
No one wants to go to these places. I mean, like you pee in a hole in the ground, and it's disgusting. But you know, it's once you're there, it's incredible, and you're so glad you're there because you're seeing something that not many other people get to see.
Henson says in the next 5 years, World Camp would like to open up 2 to 3 more camps in other parts of the world. However, none of this was part of his original plan.
I was on the path to go to medical school and to get a real job and that kind of career path, and now maybe I'll do that someday, but not right now. This is what I do.
North is now back in classes, majoring in dramatic arts, but says he wouldn't be surprised to see his life now take a different path.
I think I'll be back. That's, I think, how it's changed me the most.
These Carolina students say World Camp is an example of getting back more than you give.
World Camp volunteers are currently in Honduras, working to start up an organization in that country.
Natasha, it looks like you had an absolutely amazing time in Africa.
Lydia, it was an absolutely amazing 24 days.
And well, we're certainly looking forward to getting some more of your pieces from your stay in Africa. Thanks, Tasha.
Thanks, Natasha. UNC students are interested in more than AIDS education in Africa. They're interested in education in general on the continent. Students for Students International provides scholarship opportunities to underprivileged children overseas. Organizers raise money for the scholarships through various fundraisers on the UNC campus. During the summer, S4SI representatives travel to such countries as Zimbabwe and Tanzania to interview qualified candidates. In these countries, average families can't even afford what we would see as basic high school necessities.
There are some school fees, but a lot of the costs that aren't covered by the government and the families can afford are uniforms, books, materials, and transportation is also a big factor for all these students. So we cover all those things.
This summer, the organization awarded 7 scholarships to students in Tanzania. Well, weathercaster Miles Henderson joins us to talk about what's the weather going on.
Yeah, it looks pretty good out there. So hopefully this we'll have a couple more sunny skies as fall comes in. What do you got for us, Miles?
Well, it's absolutely gorgeous outside, and though fall is officially started, students are taking advantage of the warmer temperatures throughout campus. They're just out and about enjoying it. I'll tell you exactly how long it'll last coming up next on Carolina Week.
Come on, boy. Come on. What do you got there, Yogi? Huh? What have you found? What do you got, little fella? Drop it. Looks like someone's butt. Man, they probably lost it playing with their kids. Hey, leave it. Come on. Come on.
Properly inflating my tires burns less fuel and saves me money on gas. Yeah, I'm saving Mother Nature from pollution, but more importantly, she saved me $11. Ow!
Environmental defense. Get green.
By keeping my car regularly tuned, I save money on gas and repairs. That also means cleaner air. You know, feels good to help save the cash, planet.
Environmental defense. Get green. For more tips, go to getgreen.com.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm weathercaster Miles Henderson. Let's start out with a look at your weather headlines. Well, this beautiful weather we've been seeing is due to a high-pressure system that's been dominating the area. However, a cold front is on its way to our area, bringing us rain and dropping the temperatures up to 10 degrees. However, this weekend, it's going to be a gradual warm-up. Should be a pretty one out there. And also, just as we think hurricane season is starting to wind down, more activity in the tropics. Start out with a look at the surface imagery. There's that high pressure system that's been just kind of lingering off the coast. Into tomorrow, this cold front is going to drape right along the east coast, bringing us plenty of rain and showers. Right now, it's stretched through central U.S., but as it pushes through on Thursday, it's going to bring lots of rain, also drop the temperatures, like I said before, up to 10 degrees. Going to be a good break from the heat. Behind it, basically clear skies. That's what's in store for the weekend and into next week. Take a look at that satellite imagery. There's the clouds associated with that cold front. They're going to continue to push through, leaving us with basically clear skies right now, but as the clouds and rain roll through, it's going to be a little bit dicey come the later half of the work week with the rain and also the cooler temperatures. And again, behind it, nothing but clear skies. You can also notice the slight disturbance down in the tropics. If we take a closer look at that, that's a tropical wave that just developed yesterday. Right now, it's just slowly rotating. It's going to slowly move off to the west, northwest. As of right now, like I said before, it's a tropical wave, so it doesn't have a number or a name yet. But the National Hurricane Center is predicting for it to intensify Wednesday night into Thursday. So it's definitely something that we're going to be watching out for, as it could move off to the north, possibly shift towards our direction, definitely impact the U.S. It's always a potential. We'll keep an eye out for it. Back in the Carolinas, your 4-day forecast is looking absolutely gorgeous. For Friday, the cloud cover is still remaining in the area after that cold front. And there's that temperature drop I was telling you about. 73 degrees. It's going to be a good break from the heat. Low of 52. On Saturday, the sun returns. Sunny skies, high of 78, low of 55. The warming trend continues for Sunday with a high of 81 degrees and a low of 57. Sunny skies also are in the forecast. For Monday, the clouds return as the next frontal system starts to push into our area. Temperature stays about the same with a high of 80 and a low of 58 degrees. If you're headed to the beach this weekend, perhaps to Wilmington or up in the Nags Head area, it's going to be a great weekend for it. High of 82 on Saturday, nothing but sunny skies both days. High of 84 on Sunday. If you're headed to the mountains in the other direction, High of 76 on Saturday, high of 78 on Sunday, with some lingering clouds on Sunday. And the big story on every Carolina student's mind, the game on Saturday. As UNC Chapel Hill takes on the Utes of Utah. Kickoffs at 1:30, high of around 76 degrees come kickoff time, mostly sunny skies. Hopefully the Utes will be able to do better than the Wolfpack did last weekend.
Yeah, Miles, since we went to high school together, I'm not going to give you too much of a hard time about the Tar Heels' big win over NC State last weekend.
It was a rough one.
Yeah, thanks, Miles.
Thanks, Miles. Speaking of that win, sportscaster Heather Catlin joins us now. I do remember, though, our defeat in Utah last year.
Yeah, it was a painful game last year, lots of injuries. So coming up on Carolina Week Sports, the football team looks to make it 2 in a row. But will the defense be able to slow down a team that hung 46 points on the heels last year?
Each year, thousands are senselessly killed by people with no criminal record at all. People like you.
I am a Tar Heel born. I'm a Tar Heel bred. And when I die, I'm a Tar Heel dead. No one knows the real Carolina like a student. Carolina Week, the student news show.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Heather Catlin, and yes, I'll be on the Jumbotron at halftime for the second edition of Carolina Minute. Please don't throw anything. After winning at Carter Finley, Carolina football comes back home to take on Utah. Last year, the Utes racked up more than 600 yards and 46 points, but this year's Carolina defense is better, and the game is in Keenan.
Because we really need to focus in on this week. It's a big game. We all know what Utah did to us last year. That's not going to be our focus. Our focus is going to be on this week's game versus this Utah team. We've got to score points on our offense, but more importantly, I think we really need to win another game at home. That's my focus, is win a game at home and win 2 ball games in a row. I think that could really give us a lot of confidence. We need our fans out here big time to help us try to disrupt Utah's offense with cadence. We need everybody in the stands to help us win this ball game.
Man, I know we got a different team this year, and then they playing us in Keenan, so I think they know it's going to be different. You know what I'm saying? Utah, if we eliminate all the penalties and the mistakes and we really play how we need to play, you know what I'm saying, we can really show people what we got. So, I mean, we just had to settle down and focus on the things we needed to get done, and we knew we can go out there and just make plays without the penalties, and you know what I'm saying, and we'll have a good game.
Defensively, I think we've learned that if we fit plays and we do things right and play together, we can be pretty good. It was great to see our defense continue to play better and to see our offense put together a kind of a total game, at least in the second half, with running and passing. But we have yet to play a complete ball game, and we need to do that to continue to improve.
Improvement has been the big word popping up with Carolina's defense this year. Take a look at how last year's Heels stack up against this year's. The Heels let NC State pick up 577 yards in Keenan last year, but held the pack to 270 yards this year in Carter Finley. Utah blew up Carolina for 669 yards, almost 400 in the air in Salt Lake last year. However, last year's quarterback for Utah moved on to the NFL, and Carolina's defense has become the backbone of the team. Well, from one form of football to the other, the Heels were looking for an easy match but didn't find one against UNC Greensboro on Tuesday night. Both teams were fighting hard for the first goal. Carolina continued to roll with the punches and kept pushing for the goals but didn't make it happen until overtime. With less than a minute and a half left in the extra period, Dax McCarty set up freshman Scott Campbell's winning shot for the Heels. Carolina beat the Spartans 1-0. McCarty says the team had a hard time finding its rhythm.
We started playing a little better through the midfield, and then eventually we were just able to break them down in the end there. And fortunately, I was able to squeeze the ball through to Scotty, and he had a great finish.
The men's soccer team won the national title in 2001, but since has lost each year in the NCAA play. This year, there's a new kid in town who makes the team a threat to win it all again. Freshman Scott Campbell knew he wanted to come to Carolina from the moment he stepped on campus as a little boy.
I went to camp here when I was 12 and fell in love with it. Told my mom I wanted to come here when I was 12. She was like, oh, all right. But ended up working out.
He's not only playing here, he's a starter and leads the team in shot percentage and game-winning goals. Senior captain Ford Williams says even though Campbell is a freshman, he plays a big role on the field.
Scotty brings a lot of energy and a lot of creativity to the game for us, and plays balls in, gets people involved, and can do it himself. So he's a well-rounded player. He gets in defensively as well when we need him.
Campbell shows no sign of slowing down and says he only has one vision for his team.
I see this team going all the way. I think we have best players in every position. Definitely have the heart to do it. Just have to keep healthy, get a little luck in there, and I can see us going real far.
Well, guys, I hope to see you at the game on Saturday.
Exactly, and we hope that Carolina can pull out another win.
Definitely.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Thanks to technology, you can preview almost any place in the world from the comfort of your own home.
We'll show you how to go cyber traveling next.
$50 invested in a mutual fund 20 years ago returned $452. $50 in the United Negro College Fund returned an award-winning actor. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Around the world in 80 days? Ha! Try 80 seconds. Whit Walker reports from the Grand Canyon.
I just flew in from Chapel Hill, and boy, are my fingers tired.
In case you didn't know it, I wasn't actually at the Grand Canyon. I'm using a program called Google Earth, and it's provided free of charge by the internet search engine.
The technology allows users to quite literally search the globe. With a click of the mouse, you can check out Baghdad's royal palace or stroll through Vatican City. The program is a compilation of satellite images and flyover pictures that are updated every couple of months. But it's more than just a map. In actuality, it's a city guide and jumping off point for learning about faraway places. I just arrived in Las Vegas, and I'm looking for an all-you-can-eat buffet. Thankfully, Google Earth provides a geographically oriented posting of restaurants, hotels, and important landmarks. The program also allows you to pull up extra information on points of interest by syncing up with Google's search engine. And those who aren't inclined to city life can enjoy an African safari courtesy of National Geographic. The images come out so true to life that it makes you feel a little bit like Big Brother is watching. Here, for example, is my favorite bar, the Dean Dome, and my second home, the Journalism School.
Reporting from Chapel Hill and around the globe, I'm Whit Walker, Carolina Week.
Well, it looks like I can take that much-needed little 5-minute vacation anywhere in the world, anytime I want.
Yes, and we'll hope you'll do that just after this. That does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching. Good night.